back. Part two of taking a preview of Hollywood and the movies. What a beautiful time of year. And it means a whole lot as far as our economy is concerned. Plus, it gives a lot of folks a chance to de-stress during a very stressful time. Love what they do in Hollywood, but especially this time of year. Big box office throughout the month of December. And he is big box office. Denzel Washington, Roman J. Israel. And to tell you about it and give you his thoughts, the guy will be with me on News Radio 1020, KDKA. And he's on that station quite a bit in the morning with Larry Richard and John Shumway. And, of course, from time to time with me as well. He is John Mowat on the movie. So the latest from Denzel Washington. What do you think?
Yeah, really. It's pure Denzel. If you're a fan of Denzel Washington, you go see whatever movie he makes because he does not disappoint. He gives you everything he has. This is a movie about he's kind of an idealistic defense attorney, and he finds himself in this situation where he's the brains of the operation. He's the book guy. He has a partner he's the lawyer. He's the showman. He's the one that puts on the case. Something happens to the other lawyer. Denzel Washington's character, Roman J. Israel's, he's going to have to figure this out and take the lead. The first two, I'm going to tell you something, Rob. The first two parts of this film are just riveting and really draw you in. And Denzel's a big part of that. Like I said, anything he does, it's mesmerizing. It just glues you to the screen. But the third part of this film, it kind of gets a little bit slow. It doesn't lead you particularly in the direction that you'd hoped when you're kind of sitting here getting into this movie. But look, if you're a Denzel fan, it's PG-13. Go see it. He does a great job, and he's getting some Oscar buzz for this too.
John Mowat on the movies. We continue here at Legacy Studios previewing the Hollywood box office. Daddy's Home, great comedy, great cast. Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, and Mel Gibson.
Yeah, it's funny because 2 years ago, Daddy's Home came out. It was surprising how successful it really was. And what you had was Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, and they were they were in a situation of being step parents of sorts and related, and having to deal with each other. Well, in this one, we understand how they got their character traits because we meet their parents. We meet Mel Gibson as Mark Wahlberg's dad, and John Lithgow is introduced as Will Ferrell's dad. And you see, so if you enjoyed Daddy's Home 2 years ago, Daddy's Home 2 gives you that same thing. It's got the Christmas theme, and it's just good fun. It's funny. You'll laugh. Will Ferrell's great in it, and it's kind of good to see characters like Mel Gibson and John Lithgow doing their thing as well.
Mila Kunis, who's been the voice of Meg Griffin on Family Guy since 1999, she stars along with Kristen Bell and Kathryn Hahn. Bad Moms Christmas. I love the first one. Can't wait to see this. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. It's in that same line. They added the Christmas theme. It's rated R. It's raunchy. You get what you get, but it's funny. You laugh the whole time. Now, this has a similar theme as the last movie that we talked about. It's Mila Kunis is back as Amy. You have Kristen Bell as Kiki, Kathryn Hahn as Carla. And they made us laugh last year, and it was, again, came out of nowhere sort of, and was a huge success. Well, they introduced their parents and their mothers. It's Christine Baranski, Susan Sarandon, Cheryl Hines are introduced as the main trio's parents, and you see where they get their character traits from, and it's the same kind of funny and kind of goofiness that ensues. And it's Christmas, it's raunchy, it's good fun.
All right, now, 1995, I saw the very first Jumanji and loved it, mainly because of the late star that was and will always be Robin Williams. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is number one at the box office in anything that he does, he is going to be starring along with Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Nick Jonas. It is Jumanji back again. Your thoughts?
You know what? I feel the same way you did. In 1995, it was funny how Robin Williams' character came out of this board game and took us on a journey. This is a little bit different. It's four teenagers who discover the same old game and are transformed into the game. This time, you've got Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, like you mentioned, Karen Gillan. She's great in it, and it's a movie that's going to do very well. Just because, Rob, there's guys like me and you who remember that from a couple decades ago, and this one's done really well. It's a comedy. The Rock, you're going to laugh. Kevin Hart, you can't beat it. You It's funny. It's going to be great entertainment.
Shot in 3D too, by the way. Christmas Day coming out. Molly's Game, the true story of Molly Bloom, an Olympic class skier who ran the world's most exclusive high-stakes poker game, starring Jessica Chastain. Tell me about Christmas Day's release and Molly's Game, John Mowat.
Yeah, Rob. Again, this is one of those films where if you like the and don't forget Idris Elba too. I mean, he's great in this movie as well. But it's one of those. It's character driven. It's high stakes. It's going to leave you on the edge of your chair. I like these kind of movies. It's a biography. It's a drama. It's a little bit long, at 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's rated R, but it's a true story. And it's the twists and turns that this FBI target takes this story through is incredible, and it's going to thrill a lot of people. And it's written by the actual Molly Bloom, based on her book, and the great Aaron Sorkin went ahead and put together the screenplay and directed. So this is a movie that's gonna have legs, and it's gonna do very well.
The Greatest Showman, inspired by the imagination of P.D. Barnum. It's an original musical starring Hugh Jackman, who is a whale of a talent. He can play a tough guy, but he can sing and he can dance. Zac Efron, of course, formerly of that Disney brand, who's been big box office for many years now. High School Musical got it started for him, and also Michelle Williams. What about The Greatest Showman? We have a musical coming out for the holidays.
And Rebecca Ferguson, too. I really like Rebecca Ferguson from her turns and some of her latest films with Tom Cruise. But, like you said, it's inspired by P.T. Barnum, The Greatest Showman Ever, and this is just perfect. It's a perfect vehicle for Hugh Jackman, because he is that kind of actor. He's that kind of talent. Not only can he act, but he can sing, he can dance, and he's one of those guys that can bring the energy and pull this thing off. So, I mean, although it comes out December 20th, I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but it's one of those films that I'm really looking forward to see.
All right, just a couple of more to look at. John Mowat on the Movies. He'll be back with me on the radio December the 18th, News Radio 1020, KDK. That's Monday night at 10 o'clock on the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh Newsline. Can't wait for this one. Gotti, starring John Travolta, Ella Travolta, Kelly Preston, his wife. John Travolta, Academy Award nominee. I think he may win one for this. Stars as the legendary mobster John Gotti. If there was ever a guy who has carried on that gangster genre like his hero, James Cagney, did for many years, this is the guy, this is the role, this is a must-see. Gotti, starring John Travolta.
Yeah, and it's, this is one of those films that we've heard about for a long time, coming down the pipe. And the story of John Gotti and his son, you've got people like Stacy Keach, and a couple of the Travolta family is in this. So Kelly Preston, like you mentioned, his wife, their daughter Ella Blue, is in this film as well. I'm really looking forward to this again, and to see if John Travolta can transform himself into this character, the deadliest crime boss ever.
Christmas Day, Phantom Thread, the world of post-war London and renowned dressmaker Reynolds Woodcock. Daniel Day-Lewis stars, and as he recently announced, he is retiring from acting. How long it'll last, no one knows, but he's an incredible talent. Your thoughts about the movie Phantom Thread coming out Christmas Day, John Mowat?
Yeah, it's a period piece set in 1950s London. And it's supposedly based on his true life and the muse and the lover that he took on, this much younger woman. And everybody's interested to see how Daniel Day-Lewis pulls this off. He's one of those actors, Rob, that's been able to transform himself in film after film, character after character. He brings something different to the table, and this is one of those films where everybody's going to be anxious to see on Christmas Day what this guy can pull off. Daniel Day-Lewis. All
right, this is coming out early 2018. We'll close on this note. Directed by Steven Spielberg, stars Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, Sarah Paulson. It's entitled The Post, a cover-up that spanned 4 U.S. presidents, pushed the country's first female newspaper publisher and a hard-driving editor to join forces in an epic battle with journalists and government. The movie, The Post, January 2018. John Mowat.
Yeah, we've heard about this film for some time. Whenever you get anything directed by Steven Spielberg, it's exciting, and we're all waiting to see it. When you add Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep to the mix, everybody's excited. Now, the question is going to be, how political do they get? How apropos is it to the times that we're living in right now? And even though it spans 4 U.S. presidents, it's going to be really interesting to see how how they put it together and how it relates to things that are happening in our world right now.
John Mowat on the Movies. Johnny, we'll talk to you Monday night, December 18th on News Radio 1020 KDK at 10 o'clock. Thank you. Good night.